What is up, y'all? I've been diving deep into the Akashic Records, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about it today. My name's Nicole, and I'm interested in all things spiritual. Today, I'm gonna be going over what the records are, how you can access them and how they work, how the information is received, and the purpose of the records and how people use them. And I'll also be timestamping all of this information, so feel free to skip to what you're interested in. If you notice me looking down, I'm just looking at my notes. I want to start by saying that a lot of the information I'm sharing is from Linda Howe's book, How to Read the Akashic Records. So definitely check out this book if you want more information and a deeper understanding of the records. What are the Akashic Records? The Akashic Records are known as a storehouse of information containing the complete history of every soul that has ever existed. It's not really a physical place, it's more of a dimension where you can shift your consciousness, and it stores everything a person has ever said, done, felt in the past, in past lives, in the present, and it also contains possible futures. It holds an archive of each soul's existence and all the different lifetimes that they've lived. How do you access the records and how do they work? So there's multiple ways to access the records, including meditation, prayer, or by having a reader or therapist open your records. Linda Howe is the teacher and author I was mentioning, brought forth the pathway prayer process. And this is a method where you speak a prayer and then this grants you access to what she calls the heart of the Akashic Records. So this is the method that I use, and essentially by saying this prayer, it creates a vibrational bridge between you and the records. You are essentially transitioning from an ordinary consciousness to a divine universal consciousness. And the information received here comes from your soul, and it has a broader perspective than just using your mind, your intellect, or your intuition. So there's a couple differences between the intuition and the information that's received through the records. Your intuition will provide a more immediate and narrow answer. It's essentially shaped by your human experience in this lifetime. And the information that you receive from the records give a broader, more historical answer. So maybe your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors surrounding a certain topic is governed by something that happened in a past life. So the information that you're given here spans the universe. It comes from divine consciousness, and it covers every single lifetime that you ever lived. So it's really that simple to enter the records. You just say the prayer and then you're in the records. You don't have to be a psychic or a seasoned meditator. You only need to have willingness and sincere desire. The book mentions that everybody is worthy enough to access the records and use them. The only difficulty, this is something I've noticed in myself too, is getting out of your own way. This means not allowing your doubts to cloud you and placing your attention on the guidance you're receiving. It's about applying the guidance you receive to your life and creating meaningful action and change. Before I continue, please subscribe if you found this helpful. I'd really appreciate it. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. Next, we're going to talk about how information is received. Around 85% of people receive information through a sense of knowing. For me, thoughts that come through the records are just thoughts that enter your awareness. So it's like the ordinary stream of thoughts you have when you're thinking about anything else. That's what the records feel like to me. But in this case, you're being divinely guided, and the information you get is coming from outside your personal experiences in this lifetime. So the other 15% of people might receive information through sounds and images. And I once had a memory surface during one of my readings, and I completely forgot this ever happened. But just as if you're recalling a memory, kind of images just flash through your mind. But I didn't really consciously pull this memory from my brain. It kind of was given to me instead. What is the purpose of the records and how do people use them? In many cases, the purpose of accessing the records is to gain greater self-knowledge and healing. People have found that accessing the records help reveal patterns, fears, emotional conflicts, and blockages in their current lifetimes. And it also reveals things that have been carried on from the past lifetimes into this one. It also provides information on lessons a person's here to learn, more clarity about one's purpose, personal talents, and it gives a person a more compassionate view of their life. So importantly, I just want to mention that this is not a form of divination. You can't predict the future, and this does not affect your destiny. It can't control your destiny. In a lot of cases, the records don't even give you an answer to yes or no questions, and they never tell you what to do. You have agency and you determine your own life and your own actions. Instead, you can ask the record questions about why a decision is hard to make, for example, or strategies to come to a decision. Usually, questions that start with what and how will yield the most helpful and effective answers. Linda Howe's book dives into 3 types of healing within the records: energy, ancestral, and past life healing. And I'll be telling you a little bit more about these 3 types. Energy healing allows for energy shifts in an individual, and this might look like an opening in a person's awareness, allowing them to let go of denser energies like sadness, fear, or resentment, and allowing them to transmute a higher energy, so happiness, content, freedom, and joy. It can provide a sense of hope and clarity for the person. Ancestral healing might involve becoming more aware of beliefs, attitudes, or behavior patterns inherited from your ancestors. So exploring your ancestral lineage can actually help you release these patterns. And lastly, past life healing involves gaining a greater awareness about your past lives and observing how the events, patterns, and beliefs in that lifetimes might be seeping into this lifetime. Space and time don't exist within the records, so the records of your soul's existence are always accessible. But you might not always get the information you're looking for. Because you might not be ready to hear it. So I've been trying, guys. I've been trying really hard to get past life information because it would be really cool to know like what's going on, but I haven't really received anything about that. And maybe because I'm not ready. And I am low-key scared. So maybe if I let go of some of that fear, I would get some. But like, guides, y'all let me know. I'm interested in knowing. So this is an example of divine timing and divine reliance, meaning that you trust your soul and source that they will reveal information when you're ready to hear it. Now I'll be talking about some ways that I've been using records, which are when I journal to help me explore why I feel certain ways. So for example, I'll get super triggered by something that's happened to me, and I can't really definitively say why I had such a visceral reaction. The records help me understand this reaction from a higher perspective and help me see the situation in ways I haven't considered before. And with that newfound awareness, I can work to release the beliefs that have caused that trigger. And I also found that I have a greater sense of compassion for myself. I have some core beliefs around me not being worthy enough to make YouTube videos, for example, or me being a bad person. If I feel like I've wronged somebody, it's because I'm a bad person, and I've kind of been able to like soothe these beliefs a little bit, something I'm definitely still working towards. I'll also open the records to read books that I find really difficult to understand. Like some of these spiritual books are super dense with a lot of words, and I'll open the records to gain a greater understanding of the text. I've noticed that while I've done this in the past, I'll get like kind of images in my mind, making connections between topics. And I don't know, it's just like a cool little experiment to do. But one time I opened the records trying to read a book, and I just felt like such a huge amount of anxiety. I didn't know why I was anxious, and y'all's, the records are supposed to help you, like why am I feeling anxiety? But I came to realize that like I was not meant to be reading at the moment. I was actually meant to be writing or understanding previous texts more, because I've been recently like absorbing so much information, receiving, and now it's time for me to like give and release and produce, basically create rather than receive. So in conclusion, the Akashic Records reminds us that we're all spiritual beings having a spiritual experience in physical bodies. It helps us build more awareness, release emotional blockages and patterns. They help us connect to a higher wisdom. So Linda Howe suggests that the records help us develop an altitude consciousness. This allows us to see ourselves from a more intelligent, all-knowing perspective, and it helps us to be an observer of ourselves. It reminds us that every experience is part of our soul's process of evolution. There's lesson to be gained from all of life's hardships, and it also reminds us to cherish all of our blessings. The ultimate realization that we are never separate from source or creation is ever present. And it also reminds us that we're good, whole, well, sound, and worthy at all times. For me, it's helping me to have reality come through me instead of at me. And I'm excited to keep learning more about it and using it and sharing with you guys how it's affected my life and how it's been working and not working. So that's all I have to say about the Akashic Records. This has been a general overview. Please let me know if you have any questions about any of the topics you want me to dive deeper into them. And please subscribe if you want to learn more and follow me along on this journey of life. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a blessed day. Bye!